everybody. This is David D'Arcangelo. I'm your host tonight with Mark Victor Hansen, co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, with over 600 million copies sold. Mark is a Guinness Book of World Record holder and a good friend of mine. And the telling thing I say about Mark is a prolific entrepreneur. He leads the Mark Victor Hansen Library, and as you become successful, you may have the privilege of having your biography written by the Mark Victor Hansen Library. So Mark continues, you look at somebody and you see them as just energetic, brilliance. I always say Mark continues to create new ventures and inspire, which I think is really important. And the reason I'm here is to help others create financial freedom in their life. Welcome to the program, Mark.
Listen, our friendship has been 30 years. And unless you remind me of something I don't remember, we've never had a fight or an argument. And we want more for you tonight than you want for yourselves. And we're going into America's golden age. This is the most exciting time to be alive. And you want to be exciting with leadership that leads from the front. Like what Elon Musk has done with 8 multi-billion-dollar companies, David and I and Stuart and a few other people are leading this absolutely from the front. And we're going to take you places you didn't even know you can do, and we're open already in 100 countries. And it's just going to keep getting better, and you're going to make fortunes and have experiences that, luckily, David and I have traveled around the world sometimes together, and had wonderful times. And we want those for you because there's no shortage of supply. There's infinite, and there's 8.4 billion people that need what we got.
I have a special announcement just to take off on that. I'm going to save it till after this question. My lead question in today is, what's the biggest rejection you turned into success, and how did it transform your life?
What a great question. Thank you. When Jack and I started, I'd written all these stories, and then we put it together, and it took us 3 years, and we had 144 people. So the joke is, hit the road, Jack, right? Because Jack can't feel, but the fact, and we're best friends, but the fact is that 144 people, we have stacks of the pink slips that the publishers didn't want us. We finally sold it ourselves to a little company called HCI. We did not, Health Communications, not Hansen Canfield Inc. We did not know that they were bankrupt at the time, but we wanted distribution so bad, we were willing to do it. And here's the thing. You've got to make yourself rejection proof. If somebody says no to you, it's they're missing out on the opportunity, not you. And when you get rejected, I've taught all my years in sales training, NEXT, next. There's somebody out there that wants what you got right now. And if you go to enough people, you'll get it. And when I started the speaking business in 1973 and 4, I was told to call 10 people, get one, and one would say yes. And that one said yes, gave me a list to everybody else in Metropolitan. And he was a big guy, Big Tony, and said, you tell everybody, Big Tony, the number one guy, the number one insurance company in the world. They don't hire you, Mark. You tell them, call Big Tony. You got it? I was doing, only Tony Robbins and I were so crazy that we did 4 talks a day. And then after doing that, people said, man, you're the best storyteller. Do you do it in a book? So I put together a little book, not available anymore, Stand Up, Speak Out, and Win. And I never lied. I said, this isn't a New York Times bestseller. It's not a national bestseller, but it's my bestseller. And it's only $10. It cost us $1. We sold 20,000. So that's 200,000. Today, that's 2 million. I thought to heaven, I was doing what I wanted and loved it. I loved every minute of it. So you make yourself rejection proof. And the line comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who everyone reads him on compensation. But the first line didn't make sense to me for years, but it said, every act is its own reward, meaning every person you talk to, even if they say no, brings you closer to the next yes. That's how it works. And the best example, I'm a Horatio Algera winner, which means I've gone from rags to riches. You get a gold medal in the Supreme Court from Judge Ernst Thomas, 10 of us a year and one international person. But before me was Ross Perot, and Ross Perot said, look, I was the number one salesman at IBM. They weren't doing the right thing, so I started EDS. 80 people told me no. 81st person said yes to 4 million. Divide 80 into 4 million. I made $50,000 every time somebody rejected me. That's how you have to look at rejection. I've got paid way more than that per rejection. $2 billion in retail and $1 billion in licensing. So we're excited for you watching, because you're going into your happy days. The harvest is coming. And David and Stu and I and a few other people, Jim, have set it up for you. that you just can't miss if you work with this.
Hey, Mark, I get my announcement is big. You are now an advisor and involved in SocialX, also a shareholder of SocialX. So thank you. We all appreciate having you. But what's really intriguing to me and the people who are watching right now is you and your family members have joined SocialX on the business associate side.
Absolutely.
Why SocialX and why get that involved?
My old minister, who I wrote his biography, Reverend Ike, said the best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. And I wrote. There's two books that made more millionaires than any other. Think and Grow Rich, which I love, by Dr. Napoleon Hill. I never had an opportunity to meet him, and then I wrote 1 Minute Millionaire, and we sold 3.7 million in one day. Melted on Amazon. Jeff Bezos says, "Come up here and tell me how the hell you guys did that." But what I say is that the butterfly is a universal symbol of freedom, financial freedom. These are my corporate colors, purple and yellow. But the book, the left brain is this side. The left brain is, well, as you're looking at it, this is a right brain here, and this is a left brain. But the right brain is the emotional side, and we show you how to make $1 million in 90 days because we did it a bunch of times. And the butterfly flies to freedom because you got to earn your financial freedom that you and I have talked about 100 times. So you can buy your time freedom, so you can have your relationship freedom. So you and I have been to a lot of places together, and we could always afford to eat anything we want, buy what we want, and go where we want. And then you get passionately on purpose about what it is you want to do. And where I am, yes, I've gone from a speaker that writes to a writer that speaks to a writer that speaks that owns probably the fast growing publishing company, which we got a book out right now that has gone zero to hero. We want everyone to get a copy of Problems. It comes out of the Bible, but Jerry Fox, Dr. Fox, one of my best friends for 40 years, put it together. I said, let me recover it. And I did, forgive me for bragging, but I think I did the best cover I've ever done.
That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, in paperback at Amazon, it's $10, hardbacks, $20. And then write a review because it's just coming out. Some of you are going to see this months later, but still write a review because today, if you get 100 reviews in the first month, you go straight to the top. Amazon has a brand new algorithm, and everybody out there, ultimately, I want you to write a book. Whether you do it with my publishing house or somebody else, I don't care. That's up to you, but because we're doing fine with or without you, but we'd love to have
you. Right. Hey, let me back up a little bit. You're involved with NuCalm as an advisor to NuCalm as separate from SocialX.
Yes.
Why did you align with NuCalm?
First of all, Jim Poole is a genius. He was a Wall Street genius and did genius things. And then he was having a problem with anxiety and he couldn't sleep. And he found this great guy who had figured out how there's only 4 frequencies in the brain. And if you get to the right frequency, you can relax, you get rid of anxiety, you get rid of worry, or you can go straight to sleep. Now, I use, and it's all done digitally in the phone, which I love because now it goes with me everywhere. There's not been a day in the 10 years that I've been with Jim as a friend and a partner that I haven't used one of the programs or more, but we got a program called Rescue almost every afternoon. By midday, I've talked to 5 or 10 people or written a book or two, and my mind is a lot of us calls it storming. My mind is going, and you know that because you and I are close friends.
Yeah, right.
We storm on a lot of ideas. And I go take 20 minutes, I come back and I'm 100% back. That's what's so critical at Rescue. But then I talked to Jim. I said, look, money is a problem. So what if I did a tape for us, and it's in what's called our energy vault, and it's at the very top right now. It's called Money Mindset, of how, because all of us have filters that we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we're fearful, we aren't deserving, whatever the filter is that stops you. If you listen to the Money Mindset on NuCalm for just 30 days, and we tested it, your wealth goes straight up because you've changed your internally. You have to change before you can change the outside. I had to believe I was a professional speaker before I came one. I had to write on a 3x5 card that I read every day. I'm so happy and thankful that I'm a world's best-selling author. I didn't tell anybody, but I read it 4 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and before I went to sleep. And then bingo, now Guinness Book of Records, like you says you are him.
You're just so you know, that track will come to SocialX, the SocialX powered by NuCalm in May. So everybody out there, so it's not there right now, it'll be there in May. You absolutely want to use it every single day to start your day and really get yourself going. Okay, Why Social X? We got NuCalm. Why the connection to Social X?
We're at the first time in history when we can communicate literally with 8.4 billion people. And like I said, we're in 100 countries already. So for the first time in history, each of us can have infinite influence. And Solomon said in Psalm 72, your job is to be an influencer of influencers. And if you got something good, then the greatest amongst you is servant of all. And you got to sell, and sell comes out of a Danish word. I'm of Danish descent. Is it sell means to serve. And so if you're serving greatly and you're having influence, you can do more for everyone and you get paid. You get paid a little on a whole lot. And we're going to have, Stu has told you and I on calls that we've done with him, we've already got one guy is doing millions, and we're going to have a lot of people making $1 million a year and then pretty soon $1 million a month just because it's there. Nobody's ever done it because we're blending three things. One is we got leadership that leads. That's first thing.
Yeah.
And where there's no leadership, we're without vision, people perish. Solomon said, but translated with vision, we flourish. We are flourishing because all of us have a big vision. I mean, I wrote the book, how to think bigger, never thought you could think. So, and I've sold more books than anybody in nonfiction alive, as far as I know. And the record doesn't seem to change. So I'm going to keep my belief system. And I'm going to sell 1 billion books for other people. So we're cooking with, like, Proverbs is just going to sell 10 million just like that. It's so exciting to see it. But we're going to do the same thing with Social X because everybody is coming here because everybody wants wisdom. Everybody wants sleep. Everybody wants infinite health. Everybody wants infinite functionality. And you and I are going to help lead this with a mastermind. Now, the guy who discovered mastermind that was written about in Think and Grow Rich is Andrew Carnegie, my hero. And I'd ask all of you to go to his house in New York at 92nd and 5th Avenue. And the first thing it says, authors are the wealth of the nation in marble. And here's a guy with third grade education as a first billionaire. Second thing said, no one gets rich without enriching all others. Whoa, think about that. When you help others, you help yourself, right? And there's no limit to how much you can help. And the more you help, the more you get paid. And do we want to lead you? You're going to be able to talk to David and I on some periodicity. It'll probably be once a month. And you ask us any question. David and I have both been selling combined over 100 years. I didn't. It's been a few days. And
we started early.
And we've had beyond great success. And knock on wood, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just saying, hey, look, we're holding up a mirror. We're going to show you the path, show you the way, so you do the right thinking to get the right results by taking the right action, self-reliance to self-initiative to get everything you want in your life. And I really want you to start writing down 10 new things you want every day. And pretty soon they're going to start manifesting because Social X is the vehicle that will be the vehicle to your easy, effortless ascent. Because if you talk to 3 people a week or 3 people a day, the more you do, the more you'll make. It's just that simple. And all of you have a mouth, and you don't have to have self-confidence. All you got to believe is that David, I, and Stu believe you got self-confidence. And I'm taking on the mantle of Mark, David, and Stu. So
Mark, everybody out there, we're all in business, and we're in business together now. How do you ask? You wrote a book with your wife. What's the most impactful question a salesperson should ask every single day to as many people as possible?
Exactly. Great question. Ask The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. It's going to be one of the books we recommend when we start a bookstore in Social X because it'll change your life. It's an enormous bestseller too. It's one of my 3 biggest series, and it's soon to be a movie that we're doing. Because you ask yourself, ask others, ask God. So first of all, at a personal level, you got to ask God, who should I talk to tomorrow? Before you go to sleep 101 times, say, God, who do you want me to talk to about Social X tomorrow? God, who do you want me to talk to about Social X tomorrow? God, who do you want me to talk to about Social X tomorrow? And then have next to the bed a pen, and pretty soon you guys are going to get these beautiful gold pens from us, which one of the companies I own is going to make. Write down whatever God says. Don't you have to know how it's going to work. We're doing God, then we'll do ourselves and others. But back when I started speaking, I wanted to earn 100,000 a year. That's 400 a day, 250 work days. And when I changed it 4,000 a day times 250 work days becomes $1 million a year, which is really wonderful. And I did that. But the point is, I needed 100,000. I'm starting the speaking business in 73 and 4, like I said. And I said, okay, God, I want to make 400, 400, 400. God, me knows where 400 is, 400. 2:58 in the morning, I had a digital clock next to the bed that went like this, right? And I
Yeah.
wrote down Bill Widener, State Mutual. I never heard of State Mutual. I'd never heard of Bill Widener. Next day, I'm in a building, as you know, just like McDonald's is next to Taco Bell, next to Burger King.
Yeah.
The same thing with insurance companies are all together. I'm in a metropolitan building, and then in front it says Bill Widener, State Mutual. I said, God told me this, and I don't know it. I never read it. I never saw the name. Nobody ever told me about it. I go in, and there's nobody at the front desk. So I go, zoom, right to this guy's office. In 5 minutes, he's giving me a check for, back then it was $400. And I was glowing. He was glowing. And he said, I didn't even know what I bought, but I was so excited. And then he got me to do the national and international meetings for the company. It's a big company, but it's invisible to everybody.
Yeah.
The point is,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that want to work with you. There's a lot of people that are retired. And I want to go one step further here. And that is, David and I are going to point each and every one of you in the direction of I did a book a long time ago with the world's greatest marketer. It never got published, but Jay Abraham, a good friend of ours, called Grow Rich in Your Niche. And everybody's got a niche. Now, I had 4 niches. I said life insurance. I did network marketing, so I know everybody, and we're going to get them to work with us, and that's going to be below you. And that's why you want to get in now, because you're going to make a lot of money, because we're going to attract. We're the mass attractor
Right.
factor. And then I did the big mega churches, which I love and like and respect and admire. And then I did real estate and insurance. I'm going to put those financial things together. But, so I know a lot of people, but a lot of people know me. And the other thing David and I talked about, you get to use my name. You say, if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody big and you think they would be good at selling this and using it as a multiple, remember what I wrote in this book is you got to have multiple sources of income. Bob Proctor and I came up with the idea, and then Bob Allen and I ended up writing this book on multiple streams of income. Because if you only got one stream of income, it's called a JOB, a just over broke. I mean, a job.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
So
go ahead.
yeah. So there's a question everybody has to answer: is this it? Is this it? I found it. How do people spot a product? Do you believe that you spotted a product poised for massive growth when you have that synergy between NuCalm and Social X?
100%. When Crystal and I tested the rescue we thought 20 minutes, how could that change your life? She is, I call her the goddess of exquisiteness. She is the most wonderful, wise woman I've ever met in my life. And I had 267 things I needed in my ideal wife, and she hit every one of them. But we tried rescue, and it worked. And I thought, well, that was one-off. Maybe it won't work. So then next day we did. And the next day, now we will never go without it or deep sleep, one of our products. And you say, hey, wait a second. When I talk to any of my clients, whether it's the billionaires I'm doing biographies with, whether it's the companies I'm working with in the trades, like the guy, the biggest garage door company in America, A1 Garage Door, we did his book called, what is it called? Not Accelerate. Anyhow, whatever, Tommy Nello's book. Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah.
And the point is, every one of them has trouble sleeping sooner or later. And if you're excited about the business, you really have trouble sleeping.
Right.
But you want to write down all the stuff and who you want to meet. And the list that David and I are going to ask you, and he's modified this if he wants, because I didn't quote this to him earlier. I want you to write down a list of at least 100 people that you want to talk to. Some of them are going to be relatives. I've already talked to all my relatives. I've got them into this because I'm a true, to use some of you read that great book called True Believer by Eric Hoffer, but I'm a true believer in Social X. And you just write down 100 names. You don't even have to know how they're going to show up. You will synchronize in time and space. The minute you figure out what you want in consciousness, you make the decision. Subconscious makes a provision. You are a broadcasting and receiving station. I know that sounds esoteric and a little crazy, but the people will show up in your life. Everybody I've written down. And I personally, I wrote a book called Future Diary, and I said you ought to have a constant list of 200 people you want to spend time with, play with, grow with, be expanded by. They'll show up at airports. They'll show up at meetings. They'll show up at philanthropic things. They'll show up talking at meetings that you'll get to go up to them and praise them and raise them. And they're going to raise you because they're going to go, oh, how did you know I can't sleep? How did you know I'm anxious? How did you know I'm depressed? How did you know I'm suicidal? Right?
Hey, Mark, I've known you a long time. So when we when we introduced you to Social X, and then the NuCalm was you were already there. So it's Social X. I asked you, I said, once we got your family involved in the associate, the business side of it with all of our team, then you came back and you said to me on a call or like this, a webinar, and you go, I already made my list of 100 names. And that's when I know it was really serious, because that's exactly, I've seen you do that so many times, and that sets up what your daily action plan is every single day.
Well, let's talk about one of the companies I did. Jack and I are really taking off with Chicken Soup for the Soul. I'm doing network marketing companies, and these two women enroll me in a company called Enrich International, and they had a fiber. Now, they couldn't know it, but I'd just done a PBS show, and it scared me so badly that my ascending colon froze up because I was in stress. I didn't have NuCalm at the time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're coming up to me with this fiber and say, hey, if you have 3 choo-choo trains of food going in, you need 3 going out. And I said, well, let me try. And it worked. They call it colon blow, the joke, right? And I thought, wow. And then all of a sudden I wrote down then a list of 100 people, and I'm talking for mortgage superstars. We did a ski meeting every year in Aspen, which is what we're going to be doing, some of these kind of things. And then we did a winter meeting in also at the same time down in Puerto Vallarta, and I'm in Puerto Vallarta, and Doug and Deborah Jones, husband and wife, who run this giant company, say, hey, our little 6-year-old Andrew can't go to the bathroom. He goes once every 10 days, and the doctor says if that's normal for Andrew, then it's normal, and he has accidents in class. I said, Deborah, look, I love you and Dougie for a lot of years here, and we work together, because once I got a client, we stay together, and they ultimately became giant in this company. But I said, here, let's try this stuff called Life Fiber. The company's gone. They sold it to a European company. They screwed up the formula. It didn't work anymore, which is tragic. And but that isn't going to happen here. This is going to be a long-term, steady state company. Anyhow, little Andrew came to my room and looked at it and said, Uncle Mark, that looks like sand. I said, yeah. We mixed it up. He took it. Next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, he's pounding on my door. So, what is it, Andrew? He said, it was that long, Uncle Mark. The point is, I did $3 million a year, and they said, we'll buy you any car you want. I said, tell me the truth. You're going to buy me the car I want. I want a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3, and they bought it. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, there's stuff in your future that you can't believe, so you got to write it down, because it's all going to come true. You're going to meet people you didn't know. You're going to have social influence, political influence, financial influence, spiritual influence, and it's going to be exquisitely, tantalizingly relevant to you. Because remember what I said, you want to earn financial freedom so you can buy your time freedom, so you can have relationships with whomever you want, wherever you want, so you can be passionate on purpose. All of you have some magnificent purpose to do. Now, mine is to write books, communicate, and now in the next 5 years, we're going to become a major filmmaker. And David's going to be on set once in a while with us.
Hey, that leads into a quote from you, wrapping all these things together, is goals are an imagined preview of future events.
Correct.
That was a quote from you from way back, but it just says everything about you. Is if you don't have any goals, then where are you going to go? And you need to start imagining and thinking, and that's what you're talking about today.
Right, because most people say, well, I go to work every day. I come home and I crush beer cans in my hand, throw them at the TV. that's not like a good procedure for great success, right? I've got a lot of goals, and they're not goals. I told you, I'm going to be 127 options for renewal, so I got almost 50 years left. Why would you be bored? I want to be bored, old, and crap. We got the products in this company that, you want to have biological health. You want to have chronological health, long age, but then you want to have functional health so you feel good all the time. And I wake up beating on my chest. Now, we're in the most exciting time in history, because we're going to expand longevity, and this company is going to do it in addition to, if you sleep well, that's the first thing for longevity.
Yeah. Well, what we say here is it's not just another product launch. We're going to change an industry. And that from NuCalm forward and all of our other proprietary technology products, be the best or get out of the business, because that's where you drive. You have to have the will and the mindset to do that. And then you have to get up every day, and you have to have a stand operating procedure. You have to make a lot of calls. You have to follow up with a lot of people. I see you. When I see somebody like you go, okay, I'm serious. I got my list of 100 names. Boy, that's just the start of the process. And everybody here listening, just take that into, if Mark Victor Hansen is doing that, and you can see how it's worked for him, hopefully it will all work for the rest of us.
No, happiness only I won the Happiness Hall of Fame. I'm in it at Stanford, and it's got some really noble people, Muhammad Ali and a lot of us. Mother Teresa's in it, and I'm in it. But I had to do an hour talk on happiness, and I said, what makes me happy? Well, happiness isn't entitlement. You got $1 million and you're on a dead island and there's nothing to buy. You're useless. Happiness comes out of service. Happiness comes out of contribution. Happiness comes out of thinking charitably. Happiness comes out of doing stuff that no one else has ever thought of. Happiness is having a magnificent obsession to do one of the grand ventures in life. I mean, here, we're going to give you the opportunity. This is a smorgasbord, a good Danish term, right? So you got a choice of all these things we got. Just tell your friends about them because you're using them, and you be a product of the product. And you're going to accelerate, because every time somebody gets it, they're going to come back and give you stuff. Those testimonials you're going to talk about, those endorsements you're going to talk about. We're going to keep doing these videos like this. We're going to answer every question you could possibly have, because we're fearless, because we know we got what it takes right now. This is the golden time. This is the golden company. This is the America's golden age.
Mark, what's your best advice in closing for the business associates around the world at SocialX?
I teach in our Ask book, the size of your question determines the size of your results. So if you say, well, how do I make 100,000? You'll figure it out, because the mind is teleological. It goes beep, 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 right? But if you say, I want to make 1 million, the subconscious doesn't, it's no harder to make 1 million. And there's, look, all of the universe is abundant. Look at how many stars there are in the sky. We can't count them. It's a 14 billion year old universe. It's abundant. We got enough food for everyone. We got enough, but we got to have everybody wake up to starting to ask themselves bigger, better, stronger, more productive, more contributing questions than they've ever asked themselves. And how they want to be charitable when they have all that money come in. Because if you're charitable, you open up the windows of heaven and you even get more good stuff pouring in on you. Yeah. I'm a full example, and so are you.
We're looking for a phenomenal future together. There's a lot of people who have goals and objectives. We really want to, teach, train, and duplicate along the way, so that everybody has the opportunity to reach their peak mental and physical capability. So thank you for being on today, and we look forward to having you back. You're a wizard and a great friend, and
thank you.
A partner here at SocialX and NuCalm. So thank you very much, Mark.
My pleasure.
For being on today, and we look forward to having you back. You're a wizard and a great friend, and
thank you.
A partner here at SocialX and NuCalm. So thank you very much, Mark.
My pleasure.